welcome to the Cubic Tips and Tricks. If you'd like to follow along, you can follow along in the back of the newsletter. And I'm going to go ahead and get started. On the first tip and trick is high usage notice. For Cubic 15, we have the ability to send out a high usage notice, and then users will have an option here. So to find that new option, it's under Customers, and it's High Usage Notice, as you'll see right here. And we click on High Usage Notice. You have the book and account range, you have the customer status range, you have the service types, you include estimated usage, you have the read from and to read date range, and you can also put a high usage notice on a customer's account. And then you could pick what kind of note type you like on here as well, and if you like any note alerts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and say OK here. Here we have someone that we can do a high usage notice for. So I'm going to put a checkbox in there, and then you simply either select everyone you want to have a high usage notice, or unselect anyone you have a high usage notice. You also have a select all and select none buttons. You can view the customer, or you could edit the customer. You can view the customer, edit the customer, and maybe see what bill they're talking about. If we double click on it, we can see that this bill is very high for this customer. Then we can say OK, and then we can go ahead and say OK, and then let's go ahead and save this document. Normally you'd be printing this out, but in this case I'm making an XPF document so I can show you on the screen what it looks like. And you can see here that I saved the high usage report as an XPF. Now keep in mind that XPF, when we send it to file, it takes the margins off. This would be centered on the page, and this would be down some, so it would appear correctly on there. But you can see that this looks a lot like, like our bill in here, or it looks like a delinquent notice, a delinquent statement. It's kind of similar to those, but this is for high usage. You can send a customer a note saying that they have really high usage here. And then up here it has the customer's tear off thing with their book and their account and their address. Down here you have their book and their account. Right here it says high usage notice, and they'll give a little description of when the high usage notice and the following addresses. As we go down, you can kind of see here that it's going to give previous usages, that it's going to show previous 12 previous usages. It's going to show the high usage when the usage read was, and it's going to show a little graph here of showing the 12 months in there. For the next tip and trick, I'm going to show you in batch and simple batch payments or receipts. When you're on the edit list, the report to see all the payments that are put in, that you're going to see an asterisk next to their name. That's going to indicate that they're marked as shut off. So what I did is I went ahead into customer maintenance. I took this customer and I selected them as shut off. And then, let's say that they came in and they paid, so I clicked back on down here on receipts. I clicked on batch receipts, and then I went ahead and added their payment in. Let's say they made a $50 cash payment, and I'm going to go ahead and say OK. So then when I have all my payments here, like at the end of the day, or whenever that you're closing up and you want to get a report, if we went here to print, and we're getting the edit list, and then it doesn't matter if we get the 1-line, 2-line, or detailed. But I'm going to go ahead and just leave it on 1 line. In here, I'm going to suppress the print options page. You can also print only applied deposit information on here, or you have all your normal options that are down throughout here that you can only mark customers marked as shut off. That's something new that you could, if you just want to see just those people, or if you only want to print customers with a zero balance, or only payments with the customer balance. But like in this case, I'm just going to leave all these unchecked. I'm going to say OK. And you see right here, this person has an asterisk next to their name. Now if I go in here and let's just add someone else's payment that's in here. I'm just going to pick someone here at random, and let's say that they pay $200 with a check, and then we put in the check number here, and then we're going to say OK. Now let's run that report again, and if we go in here and then we're going to say OK again, and I'm going to preview that report so we can see it. You can see they have an asterisk and they do not. And then this comes into where if I wanted to select different options, going back here to print and edit list, if I only want to mark customers that are shut off, you can see that certain options get unselected because you can only print customers marked as shut off. And I'm going to say OK. I'm going to say preview, and it's only going to show me that one person again. So now that's something that you can easily spot all of your customers that have shutoffs. The next tip and trick I'm going to show is about the AR reconciliation report. We have a couple of new options there, and this report can be found under General, AR Reconciliation, and then now down here, before we just had customers with positive balances or negative balances, well, now we can have customers with only positive balances, customers only with negative balances, and customers with both positive and negative balances. That's on the services, not just on the customer's whole balance. It's on the services, because the services can kind of make up a balance. Like let's see, I'll suppress the print options page here, but like customers only with positive balances. So I'm going to say OK. I'm going to say preview. So we see these people, we see what their service balance is and the account balance. Like here, all of their balances, all of their service balances are positive, and they have a positive account balance. And I'm going to go back to the AR reconciliation. But then this time I'm going to have only customers with negative service balances. And then here I can see like this person has 2 negative service balances and their account balance is negative. So all of their account balances or service balances are negative equal to account balance is negative. And then the third option under General and AR reconciliation is customers with services both positive and negative balances. So if they have service option or service balances are both positive and negative. Like let me go ahead and bring this up, and you can see here this person, I purposely went in here, their account balance is 0. So if you just look at it, the account balance looks like 0. Sewer has a negative $5 charge. Water has a positive $5 charge. So they're both have both negative and positive service balances on the AR reconciliation report. So it'll be a little bit easier to spot which accounts have this problem, and then we can go about fixing them later on. On the next tip and trick is under work orders. For work order status report, you can now see the work orders assigned to which technician. So if we click on work orders and we go to the work order status report, that there's this new field down here. You still have the type and the status and sequence and work order and book an account, everything else that you had before, but now we have an option of clicking a drop down, selecting a certain work order technician, and pull up the report. Like if we just want to see all work orders that are assigned to Bill, I can just select from and to Bill, and I can say OK, and I can preview that report, and I can see that there's these work orders that are assigned to Bill. The next tip and trick that I want to talk about is you can set up in system controls to make a note on someone's account when you do a write-off. So if we go in here under General and System Controls, then we click on Edit, and then right here under Cash Receipts, there's this new option down here of automatically generate a note on a write-off transaction. It'll say write-off posted. You can include the write-off amount on the bill. You can also set up note alerts. Let's say OK. And then now if I go in here to receipt posting, I'm going to post to today's date. I'm going to do a write-off. I'm going to say OK. Now let's pick someone to write off. If I go in here and I want to write this customer off, I'm going to go ahead and double click on that. And I'm going to say OK to write them off. And now if I use the customer button right here and go to customers, customer maintenance, and I go to that account, not only normally we have the write-off and system control show up here, but we also now have this write-off note that automatically generates on here. It's going to have the customer's book and account, the date and time that you wrote them off, the user that you're logged in as, or the author that you're logged in as. You can also have a follow-up user. You have the amount written off in here, and you can have write-off posted. So that way you have the exact date and time that you wrote them off. The next tip and trick I'm going to go over is in customer service. If we go into customers and customer service maintenance, and we go into a customer service, now on the service information screen, unmetered accounts, when we double click on them, we'll now have this serial number field. This may be useful for customers with trash service, because trash cans can have serial numbers, and we can keep track of all of those different trash can serial numbers in this case, or any of your other unmetered services that may have a serial number that you want to keep track of in the system. You can go ahead and put the serial numbers in here. You have up to 20 characters to put serial number information in, and you can press OK, and it'll be saved in your unmetered field. On the next tip and trick, I'm going to go over the color code services. When you have services set up on each customer, you can color code those services, and you could select to make this certain services stand out. Like say, for example, let's go make an inactive service red. So if we're going to go into customer maintenance, and then we're going to go into customer, and like this customer, let's go ahead and let's make this customer service inactive, and I'm going to say OK. And then right now you can see that both services are black, so neither service really stands out. I'm going to say OK, and I'm going to go ahead and close. And if I go to General and System Controls, I'm going to click on Edit. On the Preferences tab, I'm going to go down here to this Customer Service Status Color Preference. And here, each of the customer services statuses can be given a different color. So like they're all set to default be on black. But let's make like inactive red, or we could do the same thing for final or deleted. We can make them stand out, and we can use any of these colors that are available down below. I'm going to press OK and OK. And if we go back to our customer and customer maintenance, and I'll click on service information, you can now see that the inactive sewer service that I just set earlier is now in red, and it stands out. So that way you could easily go through here and see which services are maybe inactive or final or whatever you'd like to make stand out in here. The next tip and trick I want to talk about is customer labels. when you print out owner address labels, you can suppress duplicate copies of the owner label from printing. And like, for example, if we go in here, there's this apartment complex set up, and they all go to the same owner. And currently how it is, we would print out 5 labels for this. Well, let's say we only want to have 1 label print out, and we don't want to print out 5. So what we're going to do is, there's a new option in here, because I'm going to show you currently what it does, and then we're going to go in here and we're going to change that option. So if first we go in here and we go to print, and we go to customer labels. I'm going to print on owner labels, and I'm only going to have labels print where the owners do not equal the tenant. I'm going to press OK, and you can see on here that all those apartment complexes, and I even set up an example in here of an owner in there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to print, and I'm going to go back to labels, and what I'm going to do is with the owner labels, I'm going to suppress duplicate owner labels. So we still have all the ones that the owners do not equal the tenant, but now we're going to suppress the duplicate owner labels from printing off too. So then this way, we're not printing off 5 of the same owner labels for that apartment complex in this example. So I'm going to press OK, I'm going to click on preview, and you can see here, instead of having 7 labels print, I'm only printing 2. For the next tip and trick is service balance report. Under the general menu, there's service balance report, or even right here under general, there's the service balance report. With the service balance report, you'll be able to see all the customers and their service balances broken down by charges, taxes, and penalties. And here we can have it by detailed summary or both. You have a book and account range. We can suppress the print options page. We have all customer status, customer types, and then here we can go in customers with positive balances, customers with negative balances, and customers with both positive and negative balances. I'm going to go ahead and say OK here, and I'm going to go ahead and preview that report. And then here you can see here it's the book and the account and the name. Then you can see what rate code they have, the service abbreviation, and the sequence. And then here you see under charges, penalties, taxes, and balance. And you go straight across here and you can kind of add these up to get the total balance and have all your customers, so that way you have a greater overview of all of them. It'll give you book total counts and grand total counts in here, with grand totals down here at the bottom. For the next tip and trick is with adjustments. We can go into adjustments and we can do a test on the rate before we apply the adjustment. It'd be kind of like if we wanted to calculate what a charge is, and we could see what that charge is to do an adjustment. So if we're in interactive billing and we're in adjustments, and this is where we're going to add an adjustment, that we're going to go in here, and I'm going to go ahead and add someone in here, and then when I go to add the adjustment, and I'm going to say OK in here, you see this test rate button that's available right here? Like, let's say that I want to take off so much usage. Like, let's give the example of, let's take off 10 gallons of usage. I can just go through here and calculate, and I can see that $7.50 in charges, and 38 cents on tax 1, and 8 cents on tax 2. So I can take that same information, I could go in here and go negative 750 there. I can do negative 38 there, and then negative 08 there, just like it showed me under the test rate. You can see I can go back in here and test to make sure that I did everything right. That's $7.96. and here we're taking off $7.96. The next tip and trick I want to talk about is with the billing journal. With the billing journal, we have the option of tax exempt or not tax exempt. And this will be after Cubic 15 has been loaded and you've done your bills. It's going to show which ones have been tax exempt, which ones have not been tax exempt. So like in this case, if we have just tax exempt selected, and we just have just billed, so we want to see what bills have been have been tax exempt in the system, we can go ahead and say OK and preview. And we can see that all the bills that are in here have been taxed. We can do the same thing by going in here and having not tax exempt selected and only bills selected, and this of course would be within your due date range or your redate range or your post date range that you already had selected here for the billing journal. And then we can see there's all these bills in here that have been taxed that no one selected to be non-tax exempt. And I would like to talk about the last tip and trick is it has to do with customer maintenance and work orders. In customer maintenance, you can go in here and customers can be selected as shut off, and that's when they've been set to, that they've been shut off, their service has been shut off. Now active customers that are set as shut off will still be able to be billed. But then this works into work orders because we can go into system controls under general and system controls, and we can go to the work orders tab, and now under the shut off automation feature there's a few different options. You can exclude customers that are marked as shut off. So when you do delinquent notices or you generate shut off work orders, if they've already been marked as shut off, they're going to be ignored. You can automatically mark the customer as shut off when shut off work order is completed, and you can automatically clear customer shut off when a reconnect work order is completed. So like in this case, we're going to go ahead and select these bottom two options. I'm going to go ahead and say back and then say OK. And then now, like if we go into work orders, and then I'm going to add a work order, and let's make this a shut off work order. So it's a shut off work order. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to add it to this person. We're going to shut off their services. And it's a shut off work order. I'm going to go ahead and let's just complete this. And then we can say we completed it today. And then we can say OK. Now since that work order has been completed, if I go to customer maintenance, you see the shut off is checked. But then now let's say that the customer came in, their service has been shut off. They came in, they paid up and everything. Then when we go back to work orders, and we're going to add another work order, but this time instead of it being shut off, we're going to do a reconnect work order. We're going to reconnect their services. And we're going to pick the same person here. And it's going to be the same thing, like, normally you'd issue this and then, that'd be complete. And then once I do the reconnect work order, and I say OK, and I completed that reconnect work order, we're going to go back to customers and customer maintenance, and we go back to that person and see the shut off checkbox went away. So then that way you could easily tell which customers are shut off and which ones are not. And you can have the work orders select that shut off and turn off that shut off box just by having a few options set in system controls. And that's it for the tips and tricks. Thank you for watching.